It's The Legend of Zelda, and it's really rad. These creatures from Ganon are pretty bad. Octoroks and Tektites and Levers too, but with your help, our hero pulls through. Yeah, go Link, and yeah, get Zelda. A wiki wiki wick! Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-bum. Welcome to the Game Room with Maxolin93 on YouTube. Episode 1, The Legend of Zelda NES Retrospective and Review. The Legend of Zelda is an open-world adventure video game that was developed and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES for short. It was directed and designed by Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka. Miyamoto came up with the concept for the game inspired by his own real-life adventures in the city of Kyoto as a child, where he explored forests and caves and stuff. And Tezuka wrote the setting to be a fairy tale-like fantasy adventure inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings book series. I always thought there was a connection between Zelda and Lord of the Rings. Anyway, the game was an instant hit when it launched. It was met with massive critical acclaim, with many game critics praising the game for its unique style of gameplay. And it sold very successfully. The game is also one of the first games where you can actually save your progress. And it can be said that The Legend of Zelda is easily one of the most important and influential video games. In fact, it's one of the games, along with, Atari's Adventure and maybe King's Quest, that pioneered the open world genre and paved the way for future open world games and franchises like Grand Theft Auto and The Elder Scrolls, to name a couple. And the original Zelda game did later have re-releases on later consoles, like for instance the Nintendo GameCube, in which it was included on the Zelda promotional disc that was bundled with the GameCube in 2003. That's actually where I played it for the first time when I was 10 years old. And I had fun playing it. I didn't fully understand what I was doing because it didn't really leave you with a clear direction, as opposed to later Zelda games like Ocarina, where you actually have an idea of what you're supposed to do. But over time, I've kind of got an idea of how the game works. Now, you're probably asking, but MaxHolland93, what exactly is The Legend of Zelda? What do you do in the game, and is it worth playing today? Well, I'm really glad you asked, because that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be going through a rough summary of the game, the gameplay, and the game mechanics while showing a bit of gameplay footage, and then I'm going to give you my review. So, and if that sounds like fun to you, you may want to stick around. Don't you dare drop off. I'm watching you. So the basic premise is, you're Link, and your goal is to rescue Princess Zelda from the main villain Ganon, who has taken over the Kingdom of Hyrule. There are two powerful golden triangular-shaped devices called Triforces, the Triforce of Wisdom and the Triforce of Power. Ganon has the Triforce of Power, and the Triforce of Wisdom has been broken into 8 pieces scattered throughout the overworld. Your main objective is to find the pieces of the Triforce before facing Ganon. Along the way, you collect gems called rupees, which you use to purchase items like projectile weapons as well as upgrades and potions to heal you. You also encounter a variety of enemies throughout the world map and the dungeons. Every now and again you'll run into a maze where you have to go certain paths to get out or get to the other side. There are also fairy fountains in which a big fairy will appear out of the water and heal you until you're in full health. You start off with a wooden sword, and later on you upgrade to a white sword and then a magical sword. When you're in full health, your sword can shoot magical projectiles at enemies from a distance. You also start with a small shield, but you can also buy a bigger one. Your health meter consists of hearts. You start off with 3 hearts, but there are heart containers throughout the game, each of which will give you another heart, thus upgrading your health meter. If you get hit twice, you lose a heart. Lose all your hearts, and you die, and the game's over. The projectile weapons you carry are bombs that can blow up enemies and walls that reveal secret areas, arrows to shoot with a bow, you'll have to find the bow first, a boomerang to stun your enemies, and a candle that shoots fireballs to light a dark room and also burn bushes to reveal other secret areas. It can also burn enemies. To name some examples of the enemies you face, there are Octoroks, which are octopus-like creatures that can crawl around and shoot rocks at you, Moblins, which are these pig-like soldiers that shoot arrows at you, Darknuts, which wear knight armor and you have to attack them from behind, Tektites, which are one-eyed four-legged spider things that hop around, Levers, which are sandworms that pop out of the ground, the Dongos, which are dinosaurs with tough armor shells and you have to feed them 2 bombs to blow them up. There are also snakes, which for some reason are called ropes, according to the instruction manual. Ropes. Why did it have to be ropes? Anyway, ropes slither around and will come rushing towards you if they see you. There are a total of 9 levels in the form of dungeons throughout the world map. Each dungeon goes by a similar structure where you have to navigate through different rooms to find the boss at the end, while fighting enemies and finding keys to unlock doors. You can find a map and a compass, which are both helpful, and you can also find some other things too that are useful in your adventure. In each of the first 8 levels, after defeating the boss, you get a golden Triforce piece. On the 9th level, you face the final boss Ganon. After defeating Ganon, you rescue Zelda and beat the game. There's also a second quest, but it's pretty much the same game with an altered layout and increasing difficulty. So that's basically The Legend of Zelda in a nutshell. But what do I think of the game? I think The Legend of Zelda is generally a great game. It was very groundbreaking for the time, and it was one of the games on the NES that really showed what the console was capable of. And it's also just very fun to play. You know, spending time exploring the world map, navigating through dungeons, fighting through enemies, collecting treasure and stuff. It's very addicting. And it also has great music, like the overworld theme, which is very iconic. The da 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 da. And that's basically been a staple for the Zelda franchise, and later games in the series have featured renditions of it. And the graphics, while you might argue are dated by today's standards, for the time and for NES standards, they looked really impressive compared to other games on the console. However, the game does get a little boring after a while. You can only spend so much time exploring before you want to stop. And the dungeons are kind of repetitive, as basically they kind of look very identical, save for maybe a slight color change and an altered layout and the same music. You have the same music. The overworld music can also get kind of annoying after a while because you're basically hearing it throughout the whole game. So it does get kind of repetitive and you'll get tired of hearing it. It also gets really annoying that when you die, you go back to the starting point even after you save or continue. And no matter what upgrade of health or how many hearts you have, you start back with only 3 hearts. No, when you die in the middle of a dungeon, you start back at the beginning of the dungeon, which I guess that kind of counts as a checkpoint. But you can run out of rupees really easily, which can be an inconvenience. Especially when you need to get more bombs and arrows to get past a certain part. You can run out of bombs and arrows at the most inconvenient time, so you have to get out of the dungeon, get some more rupees, go back to the shop, buy more bombs and arrows. And the game only allows you to carry up to 255 rupees, which can be a nuisance. So you're going to be doing a lot of backtracking and you're going to die a lot. Especially since there are areas where there are hordes of tough enemies that can clobber you in an instant. So yeah, eventually you're going to get tired of the game and you're going to want to turn off your Nintendo and then go outside and touch some grass. That being said, The Legend of Zelda is a very iconic piece of video game history that it's aged reasonably well. And I'd say it's worth playing today. Also, I think it's a great introduction if you're not familiar with the Legend of Zelda series prior. So for my final verdict, I give The Legend of Zelda an 8 out of 10. Have you played the original Zelda? What are your thoughts on the game? And what was your experience? How would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching this episode of The Game Room. with Max Holland 93 on YouTube. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Also, which of these games would you like to see me review next? Let me know in the comments down below.